We are continuing with the article from the book Vedanta in Practice by Gayatriprana Mataji. The article is Refining the Ego.
Yes, so the five koshas. Sri Ramakrishna responded repeating a couplet, "When shall I be free? When I shall cease to be? What is this I, this ego?" According to the Vedantic view, the ego is a non-entity. It does not exist. In our system, there is the Atman, Buddhi, mind, vital forces, and then the body. These are called the five koshas: Anandamaya kosha, Vijnanamaya kosha, Manomaya kosha, Pranamaya kosha, and Annamaya kosha.
You can see the Annamaya kosha, the physical, the gross body is outermost. And then within that, or subtler, is the Pranamaya, the vital sheath. Then comes the mental sheath, Manomaya kosha, then intellectual sheath, Vijnanamaya kosha, and finally Anandamaya kosha, the blissful sheath. So we are mostly conscious of this physical sheath, the gross body, and maybe a little bit of the Pranamaya and Manomaya. But how much do we realize, remember about the intellectual sheath, Vijnanamaya kosha, and blissful sheath? No idea at all. But this, within that, all this, we identify with the body, the Anandamaya, the blissful sheath, the Atman, identifying with the body, and we say, I, body, mind, intellect, and say, I. But it's only a reflection of the Atman, the soul, in the pure intellect. When the intellect is pure, the reflection is very good. If the mirror is clean and not cracked or anything, then you get a good reflection. If the mirror is dirty, you stand in front of the mirror, you don't see your face. And if it is a cracked mirror, it will be so distorted, the image. That doesn't mean your face has become distorted. The reflection is distorted. That's what happened with our case. The buddhi, the intellect, is not clean. So the reflection of the Atman is not pure, clean, good reflection. So we get this distorted idea of ego, I. But that is only a reflection. It's not real. But we take the reflection to be the real. That's the trouble with us. We take the reflection to be real, and then taking it real in the other people, everybody's I. Everybody says I. So all of us got this I feeling, but we don't remember or know that that's only a reflection. And then that causes identifying with that reflection, it becomes egotism, and then we fight with each other. All the troubles, problems, it all comes because of this identification, false identification. It's not the real I. The I feeling is always there. The moment we are born, I is there. So that's why Sri Ramakrishna says, when shall I be free? When I shall cease to be. When the I goes, then there is no more, it's death. Often we say, oh, I want to get rid of the ego. Ego is always there. As soon as we are born into this world, ego comes and then we develop the ego. In the beginning, the baby doesn't have much strong ego, but then we develop it, saying, no, this is your father, this is your mother, this is your toy. All we put you and your I, this I feeling of I and mine we develop. It is good, they say, the healthy growth. To live in the world, we need that. But then we have to realize that's only a reflection. And then we move forward in life.
Look, by the way, you're welcome to ask any questions. This is an interactive format. And yeah, and I suppose to go beyond this I, that's quite an advanced stage. At best, we could only wish to, maybe with the help of meditation, have a little bit more awareness of this identification and try to maybe at best soften it a bit.
Yeah, what we can, through our spiritual practices, we can get a better idea that this ego, I, when it becomes egotism, then it's causing trouble. So we try to reduce or lessen the strength of the egotism. The ego will be there, always ego will be there. That I feeling, see, that awareness will be there. But we take it as the self. That's the trouble. It is a reflection of the self, Atman.
And then again, this is an accumulated thing as we go through life. This sense of identification comes with career, with the good things, the bad things, things that have happened, the family, the environment. My gosh, as you get into older age, you've accumulated this whole big story about yourself.
Yeah, but this is...
So then... yeah.
But we forget that all this is connected with our gross body. Gross body and subtle body. Physical body and mental body. The impressions, the dealings, what samskaras, the impressions that we get from external world, the dealing with others. It's all connected with the subtle body. And all this baggage is for the physical and mental body. What we identify with your position or status in place in society, that's for the physical body. And then I am that. I'm not that. And that was a mask that you wore for some time. That's all. You started a particular period with wearing that mask, and then when you retire, you remove the mask. That doesn't mean that you are still there. Before you wore the mask, you are there. Before you took up the position or post in society or in the workforce, you are there. And after you stopped working, you are still there. So you are there before you put the mask, after you remove the mask. But we identify with the mask. I am so and so.
Gayatriprana, you said the distinction between true identification and false identification. Like at this stage, I wouldn't know what the difference is. And when would you be able to start saying, oh, this is not true, this is false? When does that sort of distinction occur because, on a daily basis, it's not something that creeps up, So how do you start to make that distinction between true and false identification?
As when we stop identifying with the body, that is, anything happens to the body or our physical environment, when we are not, we can keep our mental balance without being influenced by that, overpowered by that in a positive or negative way, then we can say we have less identification with the ego. Otherwise, we are identifying with the body, mind, and then anything happens, something good happens, we are so elated. It happened to the body or someone related with the body. Say I and mine. But not to the self, to the Atman. Nothing has changed to the Atman. Something bad happened. Then also, that's with the identifying with the body. If someone close to me got involved in an accident or passed away, has it got anything to do with me, the real me? No. It's only with the connection is only with the body. If I can maintain my equilibrium, balance, without going to extreme, of course, we will feel happy someday something good happens. If sad, something negative, bad happens. But if you don't go to extreme and able to regain your balance quickly, then we can say our identification with the ego has come a little less. But it takes a long, lot of practice, long practice. Because as Sri Ramakrishna says, when that ego goes, identification goes, that you attain freedom, the highest goal. And for the highest goal, you have to pay the highest price. A lot of practice, spiritual practice is needed.
Say, for example, Gayatriprana ji, you're in the workplace and you've been asked to provide an opinion, and you have to give an opinion that's not your true feelings, but an opinion that may not offend people, say. There's always a conflict between what you have to say versus what you think it really is. So how does this come into play in such situations, in practical daily situations like that?
That means you have to compromise truth. So it depends upon how much you are ready to sacrifice. Holding on to truth is extremely difficult in day-to-day life, especially in the present work situation. You have to, they expect something from you, not about the real situation, the actual situation. So if you want to hold on to truth, you must be ready for sacrifice. If they are not ready to take the real opinion, the fact, then you may lose your job. That happens. If in such situation, you have to weigh, is this going to compromise my ideal, my ideal in life? If it is going to compromise your ideal, what you hold important in life, then you have to hold on to truth and go through the sacrifice for that, pay the price for that. But if it is not compromising with your ideal, well, this for the time being, can no harm, I should say, not too much harm.
When you take the attitude towards aligning with the truth, that's in a way true identification, and the other one is false identification, isn't it?
It's not true identification. True identification is I'm the Atman. When you're holding on to truth, you are identifying with the body. You are identifying with your position in the company or the business and other people. That's all identification with the body. But true identification is I'm the Atma. That is very hard to hold on to in the workday life. But then we hear all these things, at least get some intellectual understanding so that we can think about once in a while. I'm not this body. I'm not these things. This identification with my family, my work situation, the position in the society, all this is not my true identity. My true identity is the self. I am Atman. This is all connected with the body, which just came the other day and will go the next day.
Thanks.
You want to say something?
Yeah, that's true. It is very difficult to hold on to truth until and unless there is a tremendous dedication to it. For example, we have in the life of Sri Ramakrishna's father, simple man, and everybody loved him, respected him, and everybody considered his word as final. So he had to, what do you call, the landlord of that particular village, he asked him to give a false evidence because his word will have weight. Once he says that, it will be towards him. So he wanted him to give a false evidence. And he refused to give. And he knew what's the consequence of it. But he said, no, I will not. This is wrong. What you're doing is wrong. It is false. I can't give a false evidence for this. As a result of this, he had to stand in the street. His family, home, property, wealth, everything in 2 days it was taken. The second day, night, he didn't have place to stand, to stay. With the wife and children, he was on the street. So ready to compromise? No. He said, doesn't matter. Even if I have to stand with wife and son, he's standing in the street without any this. He walked where his feet would take him. Next night, where he's going to stay, he doesn't know. A householder, family, wife and children are there. Yet he left and just walked. God saved him, protected him, because he protected the truth and truth protected him. So if we have to so much of dedication to truth, I think the people with whom you work will understand what you mean. And I think things might, they may be able to appreciate you, though they cannot take it. They might appreciate your stand. And so dedication to truth at all times is needed. After all, this body is going to stay for a few years and it's dying. Falsehood is denying our own very own truth about ourselves. So as much as it's possible, we need to hold on to it. That's what I think.
How can we train ourselves to be less egoistic? I mean, in the workplace, I feel we need to be more aggressive to get a position because there's so many egoistic people around us. And even if you stay calm, would it be like a sign of weakness? So I'm very confused how to train ourselves to be less egoistic at the same time achieve where we've said.
Yeah, the modern work situation is always that you have to assert yourself. That asserting means asserting your ego. That is well, in the work situation where ideals are concerned coming up, you should hold on to the ideal, stand firm there. At the same time, you can hold on to the high ideals, in the beginning, they may, and without asserting the ego, they may think, oh, this is a weak person. We can get around her. We can manipulate her. But if you hold on to your ideal and stand firm, after some time, they naturally will respect you. That will come. You don't have to play to everybody's tune. You hold on to your ideal. This is what I believe. I will stick to it. In the beginning, they may ridicule you, make fun of you, try to push you around. But if you still hold on to your ideal, then slowly they will say, this person has got some worth. That will come. So we have to have some high ideal in life. Yesterday we were listening to a talk, and the Mataji who was talking, she was saying, in school, they say you must have some goal in life. You have to become a doctor, you have to become an engineer, you have to become a lawyer, all these things. This is the aim of life. Nobody teaches you the aim of life is realizing God. Aim of life is holding on to truth. If you hold on to that, then whatever happens, you'll be able to face it. And that's why Sri Ramakrishna says, gives the example, you put digit 1 and add zeros. 1 0 becomes 10, 2 zeros, 100. You remove the digit 1, you put 100 zeros, it's still 0 only, no value at all. So have that high ideal first. If you may call it truth or call God, whatever term you use doesn't matter. Have that one, that ideal, and then you can do. That's the ideal. First have the ideal. That we have to train from early days. That's what I don't know how many generations has gone without that training. We are all stressing on achieve into society, in life. But without the basic foundation, it will collapse one day. So having that ideal, something to hold on to, that must be given from young age. If you give that young age, not that we are not expecting to become highly spiritual. No, they have got something to hold on to. Just as we give children when very young, we give vaccination so that they develop immunity against few of some of the childhood diseases. Like that, this is the vaccination that we give for our spiritual life, our life. Hold on to in that, without being knocked out in life.
All right, well, I think we can move on to the next slide now. Ego, only a reflection. So continuing with this theme. The Atman is full of radiance and Buddhi is pure. Buddhi sometimes gets puzzled, not because of any impurity, but because our emotions create a smoky screen in front of it. And straight behind is the Atman, the wonderful radiance of which is always shining. On the Buddhi's clear, pure surface is Atman's reflection, Aham Buddhi, or the ego, which we call Ahamkara. It is only a reflection, but we take the reflection to be real, which is the cause of egotism.
The Atman is reflected in the pure Buddhi. Sri Ramakrishna says pure Buddhi, pure mind, and Atman are one and the same. Because when they reflect, when the mirror is so clean, the glass is so clean, you don't even realize there is a glass in between. Almost non-existent. So the reflection comes, the light shines through that fully. Then, but most of the time, Buddhi is clouded. with emotions, our prejudices, our biases, our likes, dislikes, all clouds the buddhi. We are not able to think properly, judge properly. And then Atman is not reflected properly. The light doesn't come. Though light is shining there, it's not coming out. And that is the only difference between different people. Otherwise, the Atman is present in all. So what's the difference between one person and another person? The light is not, light of the Atman is not coming properly. That's all. And you see the mystics of all faiths speak almost similar words, same idea, similar words, because expression will be changing depending upon the society circumstances. The expression changes, but same idea, because the screen is clear and its reflection comes out, light comes out beautiful. Their mind is pure, their buddhi is clear. So the light of the Atman comes out. Atman is present in all. This idea, when we speak, Atman is in all. It is, though this idea is in the Vedanta, applies to everybody. It's a universal idea. They don't say Atman is present in only in those people who follow the Vedanta. No, Atman is not in others. Atman is present in everybody. Every single person is. Not just human beings, in all beings is present, but manifestation is different. In animals and plants, less manifestation, in humans more, and those who are evolved spiritually, there is more manifestation, that the light shines more. And those who are buddhi is clear, pure mind, heart, pure-minded, their reflection, the light shines more. That's why Jesus says, blessed are those pure in heart, for they shall see God. Because pure in heart, the mirror is so clean, you can get very good light coming out through it. But when the buddhi is clouded, then the reflection is distorted and egotism comes. I am so big, I'm so important. Everything is around me. I am the center of the universe. My word is the law for the whole world. Everybody should listen to me, obey me. That is the egotism. And that's the root of all problems in the world. If you look from in time immemorial, this egotism is the root of all problems. Somebody has got a huge ego. When we say huge ego, egotism. I'm so important. You all must listen to me. If you don't listen, wait for the consequences. As we say now, what's happening in the world. This is not something new. It's happened so many times. From time immemorial, we have having this huge problem of egotism.
I'm just looking at this and realizing I'm trying to be a bit clearer about the distinction between the soul and the ego, because soul is still, there's a bit of separation from Brahman, from God. You're saying you're creating a little distinction there. Then ego is like another step of a sense of I-ness. But Atman, I guess for example, if you're going into a very deep meditation, then you start transcending the mind, the intellect, and the sense of I-ness. The sense of I-ness starts to go. then there's an increasing awareness of, then I presume, the Atman, the soul, which manifests as, well, bliss and light and whatever else. And so again, the ego is fading out of the picture. So is that a good way to describe it, to look at it?
The soul is, when we say soul, Jivatman, it is the Atman identified with the body. That is the ego, which is saying I. When I say I mean this body, mind system. That is the soul. Soul is almost like ego and soul, not much difference. Because pure Atman and Brahmana one are the same. I confined within the body, within soul, the Atman is when it is within the body. Out the whole macrocosm is Brahman. Microcosm, Atman. But soul is when the identification comes, what's called Jivatman.
Jivatman's a combination of Atman and ego. Because here it's like that's what's puzzling me. I'm looking at this and it's like, yeah.
Delusion, what they say. It's a delusion that I create a barricade and call myself a separate individual. But the pure consciousness that I am through and through, I am pure consciousness. Now, how it's left to me, whether I identify myself with the pure consciousness or with the limited consciousness, which creates a barricade and calls itself, I am this and so and so. This is the Jiva. I am so and so. So, Sanghata, it's an aggregate, it's called as. Aggregate, body, mind, intellect, ego, everything together. And what is binding? They can't bind themselves, stays together. Something has to hold. That's the pure consciousness which is holding. Now, do I identify myself with this lump? Or do I identify myself with the pure consciousness? That's the difference. The more I identify myself with the pure consciousness, I get the strength to let go the ego. I get the strength to let go my thoughts, my desires. That comes only through constantly identifying myself. This is called as Vedanta. This is called as discernment. Whether I identify with that truth which is holding it, or do I hold on to something which is not stable, which is constantly moving? Samsara. Samyak rupa sarati. Constantly which is moving is samsara. What is samsara? Body, mind, intellect, ego, desires, samskaras, all holding. By themselves, they don't have strength. They can never hold. What is that? It's like adhesive. What is that? That is the pure consciousness, which enlivens everything. And now it's left to me, whether I identify with the source, which I am true, in my true nature, I am only enlivening all this called as body, or do I identify with these false things? The more I identify with my true nature, which I am, constantly through the scriptural teachings, constant, it is called as. From morning till asukter amrityur, nayeta Vedanta chintanam. Till you fall asleep and till the last moment of your death, keep on, because the delusion is so strong, I always slide back. So this concept, the more I identify with the true nature, this becomes looser, becomes weakened, and that's how I will be able to even to discriminate, to understand. The intellect becomes clear. Then I do understand how the ego is working, to what extent it can be supported, where should I let go. All this comes constant identification with the self. That's more important. That's the positive way of doing things.
Well, related to this then, trying to get inside the experience of someone, say a self-realized soul, trying to understand how things are different for them in their daily life. So I'm assuming their senses are still working. They're still aware of the external world. They're aware of separateness. All of that is there. I can only assume in their case, then how are they more aware of and more deeply in contact with the real self? How is that manifesting? I'm assuming it's how they feel. I mean, sometimes, of course, they'll have some sort of mystical experience, and then maybe that brings them even closer. But when they're interacting, they're going through their daily life, I'm imagining they're more tapped into the inner peace. That's the difference.
And
That's
also,
reminding them what they really are.
We know very well we are this psychophysical organism. It's a truth for us, for all of us. But with them, they know very well they're pure consciousness. That's the truth with them. They see this as a reflection. Swamiji says it's like painting on the canvas. Painting on the canvas. They appreciate it as a painting. So they appreciate the relationship, the society, the dealings like that. So that touch of the truth, touch of the see how to see when we explaining duality comes. While when you explain the touch of reality, it's I have to use those words, but it is not. Reality is what I am. Because I have reduced this side, that becomes more stronger, and my intellect is completely covered with those ideas. So from that standpoint, I evaluate everything and I judge and I give the amount it needs, my attention, the world out. Because my intellect has become clear. My intellect constantly has been identifying itself, the pure consciousness, and so much so, the light is reflected very, in that light, I evaluate its whole universe, the external universe. And I know how much I have to deal with it, its place, everything. Then our, what do you call, buddhi goes in right direction. We will never make mistakes. Sri Ramakrishna says, one who knows how to dance will never take a false step. So if our intellect is established in the truth, then whatever may be, however complicated the external world might be, we will not put false step. The intellect will guide us. Pure intellect will guide us. So that's why he says the pure intellect, the mind and one and the same, because that purity comes constantly identifying with the truth.
you can see Holy Mother saying, she did, if you look at the life of Holy Mother, people used to think that she is so much attached to her niece and attached with this. There's a lot of dealing with the brothers, relatives. And then somebody asked, are you always aware of your real nature? Well, I say, if I'm always established in that real nature, I won't be able to deal with all of you. So I bring the mind down and deal with all of you in the world. But just pull the mind back a little, always aware of the real nature of who she really is. So those who are established in that, they just have to, a second time is enough for them to pull back the mind from the world and they become aware of their true nature.
All right, we can move on to the next one. This is more like an anecdote from the Gayatriprana Mataji. When I was a student, our school took us to Mysore Palace on a study tour. We were about 26 students. Inside the palace, we were climbing up a flight of stairs. I was in front. Reaching the platform at the top, I saw a group of people coming from the opposite side. The platform was only as wide as a tabletop, so I moved to one side. And the person in front also moved to the same side. I suddenly realized it was my reflection. We students didn't understand at first because we did not see that there was a mirror. Then we all had a good laugh. We had not recognized our reflections. That is what happens in the case of the Atman. Its reflection is always clear in the buddhi. It is the perception of the I consciousness.
We don't recognize our own reflection. We don't recognize the reflection. We see only the mask that we are wearing when we stand. But if you look in the mirror and see your face, can we think that, oh, that's how the Atman is dressed today with this face? Maybe a sick face, a happy face. That's the dress for the Atman today. If we can think that, then we'll be remembering the Atman all the time, but we forget that. We just take the reflection to be the real of your body, to be the real thing.
All right, I think not much to explore there. We'll go to the next slide. From no I consciousness to isolation. The moment this I consciousness is born, self-awareness comes. In a baby, there is no I consciousness, no thinking. It does not say, I want this or I want that. Once its biological needs are met, the baby is happy. Slowly, thinking and I consciousness comes, isolating oneself from the rest of the world. Till then, the baby is one with the world. There is no differentiation. As soon as I consciousness comes, one starts discriminating and differentiating. Everyone outside the body is you, and all that is related to this body is I and mine. Thus comes egotism.
Yeah, there's in the story of Adam and Eve, they say Adam, before he ate the apple, he didn't see any differentiation. Everything was same. There was all around. He looked around. He didn't see any differentiation. He saw the same unity in everything, and himself, other everybody. See, everything, plants, animals, everything. Then once he had that, Maya came, and then he saw himself different, and then he started identifying, giving names to the Bible says he start giving names. That means differentiating. One, that's the I conscious come. I am Adam, and this is all different from me. So actually, we consciously develop into children, our little ones, this I consciousness. And Swami Ranganathan in his Bhagavad Gita explanation says, in the forenoon of life, so we develop that. We have to become, to achieve, be a big successful student, successful householder, develop a strong I consciousness, ego, and then achieve, establish yourself in life. But in the afternoon of life, you have to give more importance to higher ideals. We continue on and on till we fall dead. We want to go on working and holding on to our false idea of ego, holding on to your position, your name, associated with that particular mask. We don't want to remove the mask. No, we have to take it off and put on, see the true face, the reflection when you say that, oh, that I am seeing Atman. We have to consciously practice that. It doesn't come immediately. as we heard just now Gayatriprana saying, that to again and again, repeatedly, this has to be put in the mind.
Yeah, we were talking about this the other night, that even when you're a toddler or just past the kind of the baby stage, I don't know about all of you, but when I think way back to when you're maybe 4, 5, 6 years old, I had this memory of the world around me being outside a certain distance. It's kind of vague. I don't know how true that is if I remember, we could go back to that stage, but it just seems like gradually your awareness of the external world gradually becomes wider and more definite. Whereas I have this image, there's a kind of a haziness there when you're very young, and you're so caught up in your own immediate little world, and everything beyond that is not so clearly defined.
And then
I don't know whether other people have that experience. That's how I remember it. So kind of this idea, you're gradually
yes,
becoming more and more identified, and the external world becomes more and more concrete and distinct.
and external world becomes more important also. To a certain extent, that's needed. But then at the same time, we have to develop the idea that this is a play, seeing a movie, or it's not the real thing.
Well, even I remember even your sense of distance as a young child. I remember one time, I don't know what happened. I think I dropped my little suitcase bag on the road, and there was a bus coming, and I ran out onto the road and picked the case up. And I can remember I shocked everybody around me. The bus was so close, and yet as a child, I can even remember I couldn't quite gauge how far away it was. It wasn't clear. I don't know. I mean, again, I would have only been 6 or 7. And again, children don't have that. They don't have that sense of distance. So I'm thinking it's how you've come out of this state when you're born, where there's this oneness, is the way I'm interpreting it.
Yes.
And then that lingers into the first few years of your life, and then that gradually evaporates, if that's the word. So there's time for any more questions, discussion. Of course, this is the last slide. Otherwise, we'd be going into announcements and then a guided meditation. So if there's any more questions, points to raise. So this week we have the yoga class on Thursday morning. We have the spiritual evening discussion on Friday night, led by Gayatriprana. Bhagavad Gita discussion this coming Friday night. And then next Sunday, Gayatriprana will give the first in what will be a series of talks on the Yoga Sutras. She'll just be dipping into and highlighting the key verses in the Yoga Sutras and commentary on those. The following Sunday, the 29th, we have Sri Rama's birthday celebration. So notably, for that celebration, we're going to show a video of revered Gayatriprana Mataji's talk that she gave on Sri Rama back in 2010. And that's just part of us celebrating her centenary. And there'll be a talk by Saptashi Ray as well. and bring some sweets or savouries to offer. Following weekend is Easter weekend. We don't have the talk or discussion, or there won't be a yoga class that week. There will be a retreat at Dharma from Saturday afternoon to the Monday, from the 4th to the 6th of April, about Easter weekend. Looking ahead, on Sunday, 17th of May, we've got a very special event. We'll have a panel of speakers from different faiths speaking on the theme from inner peace to world peace. That's something we really need to focus on at the moment. So we'll keep reminding you about that. Now we will conclude with a guided meditation. We'll be conducting a guided meditation. So this guided meditation is called Neti Neti Not This, Not This. It's a meditation that invites us to realize a simple fact of our experience, that whatever we perceive is not who we are. In this guided meditation, we will follow an ancient Vedic practice of discernment, the process of Neti Neti, not this, not this. We're going on a journey taking you beyond all that you identify with, beyond all that you think you are, beyond all that is impermanent. So sit comfortably in your chair. Allow your back to be straight, but not stiff. Close your eyes. Roll your shoulders gently back, releasing any tension. Take long, slow, deep breaths, breathing in fully through your nose and exhaling slowly through your nose or mouth. Imagine you are breathing in peace and purity. And imagine you are breathing out any tension or worries. Breathe in peace and purity. Breathe out tension and worries. Long, slow, deep breaths. On your next out breath, return to your normal rhythm of breath. I invite you now to observe any sounds you hear. You can hear the music. Recognize those sounds are only objects in your awareness. Tell yourself, I am aware of these sounds, so they are not me and not mine. I am the observing consciousness. These sounds are not me. I am the observing consciousness. Now observe all the bodily sensations, the feeling of your body in the chair or on the cushion. Feel the sensation of the clothes touching your skin. Recognize they are only objects in your awareness. Tell yourself, I am aware of these bodily sensations, so they are not me and not mine. I am the observing consciousness. These bodily sensations are not me. I am the observing consciousness. Become aware now of your whole body. View your body from the left. View your body from the right. View your body from the front. View your body from the back. View your body from above. Recognize it as only an object in your awareness. Tell yourself, I am aware of this body. It is not me and not mine. I am the observing consciousness. This body is not me. I am the observing consciousness. Observe your thoughts as they arise, floating like clouds on the surface of your awareness. Tell yourself, I am aware of these thoughts. They are not me and not mine. I am the observing consciousness. These thoughts are not me. I am the observing consciousness. Contemplate on your feelings, memories, desires, and personality. You existed before they arose, and you perceive their never-ending play, mere objects in your awareness. They are not the real you. Feelings, memories, desires, personality, they are not the real me. Your name, the roles you perform, your position in society, in the family, in the workplace, your very identity. Contemplate how all these are not who you are. You are aware of them, you observe them, and you existed before them. My name, my roles, my position in family and workplace, my very identity. I observed them, I existed before them. Step by step, you are going beyond all that is not the real you. You are eternal, pure, the shining light of infinite peace. Stay in this place for some time. When you're ready, and slowly bring your awareness back to your body. Feel your whole body. Move your fingers, take a deep breath, and exhale out slowly. And when you're ready, you can slowly open your eyes.